So many of you are waiting for your health to get better. When it's been a long time and you've been let down by protocols or diets that haven't worked for you, when you don't see any improvement over a long period of time, it's really easy to get discouraged and frustrated thinking that it's never going to come, that you're never going to get better. But God said in Isaiah 60:22, when the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen. So if you don't know me yet, I'm Brooklyn Hannah. I'm a brain retraining coach helping people reverse chronic symptoms and sensitivities using neuroplasticity and Christian principles. So here's the deal. God already determined when you're going to see breakthrough, when you're going to be blessed with certain different things in your life, and if it's in God's will for you to be fully healthy and healed, whatever that looks like to you, then it's going to happen. So what you've wanted, your health back, probably hasn't happened yet, but you understand that God has a right time and that it's already been written in His plan. So you don't have to live worried, frustrated, wondering when it's ever going to come. Instead, you can live in peace knowing that your right time is coming, and once again, if those things are in His will. So we have to get to a place where we understand that His timing is the best timing because God can see beyond what we can see. He knows what's best for us and can see the big picture. And He knows when you're going to be ready, and He also knows when other people are going to be ready too. So God can use your trial, your suffering, not only to strengthen you, but to build your character and more, but He can always also use it for other people. So it may not just be all about you. So right now it may seem like nothing is happening and God doesn't hear your prayers or care, but behind the scenes, God is working for your good if you trust and believe in Him. So He's moving the wrong people out of the way, He's closing and opening doors that you're not even aware of, and He's arranging your breakthroughs and blessings. So we say all the time to trust God, but it's so important that you trust God and His timing instead of your own. Where many people go wrong is they try to do it without Him in their own strength. Nothing wrong with going to the doctor or searching for different protocols occasionally, but if all you do was really try to do it on your own strength, then you'd be there by now, right? So we have to rely on His strength, and with that comes also relying on His timing and trusting and knowing that He knows what He's doing, right? So Romans 8:28 says that God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. And so we can really just trust and believe in that. So the enemy is the one who tries to tell us that we're the worst case scenario, we're the sickest, we have the most symptoms, we're never going to get better. And sure, people have healed from this, but they don't have the same horrific symptoms that I do, right? And so we just have to realize that it's the enemy saying we're going to be miserable for life, and to not believe those lies because they will just feed these fear-based thinking patterns and really the victim mentality. So God's promises are far greater than that. So we just have to start meditating and believing what His word says. In our heart and mind, He says that, in our heart, that we can be content and joyful no matter what's going on in this temporary world. So that's what we're striving for with brain retraining. At the right time, God will bless you. And sometimes it's not in ways we expect, which is really hard, but God has a plan and a purpose for your life. So we have to find contentment right now. And it's important to get to a point where you're at peace with God and that you don't even care if you're fully healed on the earth, but that you just have this really spiritual perspective, this eternal perspective that health on earth isn't everything, because we're always either going into a trial or coming out of another one or going into another one, and so there's just always trials and suffering on this earth. And if we can just, a lot of us think, if we can just get our health back, then I would be happy, but it's all about finding contentment in your heart with Christ right where you are. So the great thing is that we don't have to make healing and other blessings just happen on our own. So it takes the pressure off of us of having to heal ourselves, really. But God does call us to, of course, renew our mind and surrender our heart to Him, be obedient to Him as well, which is exactly what you'll be doing in a brain retraining program like ours, Limbic System Rewire. Also, Romans 12:2 says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So He does say that in His Bible that is His will. So then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. However, don't put the pressure on yourself to heal yourself. Otherwise, you're likely just going to end up frustrated and disappointed. So don't even put expectations on it for yourself. Just have faith and believe that God's timing and His plans are always, always greater than ours. So don't try to figure it all out. Don't even try to get out of it. I know a lot of people, they sit there and pray, God, just get me out of this. Just get me out of this one situation. And if it's not a health circumstance, it's another circumstance in the world, like finance issues or a death in the family, whatever it is. Like, why God? Why God? But we want to really try not to do that with our illness and just really trust him. And instead of just praying to get out of it, we just invite him in, saying, God, meet me where I'm at right now. Even if I'm on the couch sick, God, just be there for me. And I guess he's always there for you, but just really inviting him in wherever you're at. So don't try to manipulate things and force doors to open or close. God is the one who makes things happen, because we can do all the things we want. We can eat all the right foods. We can take all the right supplements. We can kill Lyme and mold and do all these different things. But it's up to God. So he is sovereign. He is in control of everything. And so we have to submit to him and his will and trust while we're waiting, and really get closer to God with our illness instead of just diving into that fear and wondering, why me, all that stuff. And so, it may seem near impossible to just really be happy and content when you're ill or you're in a trial. And, I get it. You don't see a way out. You have tons of symptoms, or you don't even see how it's possible to just do work on your heart and mind and then physical symptoms just go away. Well, it seems like too good to be true. But because of the mind-body connection, it is. And it's really common to have doubts and fears. But the good news is you aren't on your own. Jesus is on your side. Invite him into where you're at right now. Many of you might be looking at things with a worldly perspective. It's confusing. It doesn't make sense. But God is bigger than that. He's supernatural. He's not limited by what limits us. He has things already planned in your future, where he's going to make things happen that you could never make happen on your own. It's important to also realize that if God has a perfect plan and timing to bless you with things, that also means that any other time is the wrong time. That means that whatever our plans are, whenever we think we should have something we want, it's not in his timing because you don't have it, right? And so while we're waiting, we have to be patient and keep the faith. And even when we can't see it, we still have to remain faithful. That's why 2 Corinthians 5:7 says, "For we walk by faith and not by sight." So even when you can't see the physical healing, like, are you going to have faith, trusting that God, your perfect timing, I'm going to be well, I'm going to be out there witnessing and doing your calling. And so many people lose their faith and they slip into fear when they don't know what God's doing, and they just really can't see it in the physical realm. You don't see your symptoms improve. You have difficulties. You start to fear. However, I challenge you not to wait until you can see it physically. We walk by faith and not sight. So have faith as you patiently wait for God's timing, even if you don't physically see that, once again, what you desire. And these days, everybody wants everything really fast, the snap of the finger. You get symptoms and you want to take a pill to make it disappear right away. I get it. We want it now. That's just human nature and what we live in these days. But we need to learn patience and perseverance. James 1:12 says, "Blessed is the man who perseveres under trial, because when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him." So while you're patiently waiting, allow God to work in you and through you. Allow him to develop your character, become more like him each and every day, and grow you and shape you. If you haven't seen healing, he may be trying to work out something in you. Instead of waiting on God, he might be waiting on you to get your heart right with him, to surrender sins, to be obedient. He wants you fully, and he wants your heart. He cares more about your heart than a physical circumstance. He cares more about your heart than a physical symptom going away. And so he may be wondering, are you going to trust me while you're in this season of suffering? Will you stay in faith when you don't know what the future holds? And this is when it's easy to doubt. It's easy to become stressed out and wonder, why? And I just want out of this. God, get me out of this. And start playing the blame game and be like, you're not a good God, all that type of stuff. But, when you're in this trial, this is the most important time to cling to him and read the Bible and spend more time in prayer. And sometimes it's the hardest time. Just like brain retraining, when you're in those negative thinking patterns, you're really stressed out, it's the hardest to go do your brain retraining. But like I said, it's the most important time to make those positive leaps in your faith and in your walk with the Lord. And it's so important to seek God when it's harder and you're in a really trying season. So in this time, rest in Him. Come to a place of peace knowing that God sees what you're going through and He knows what you need. He knows your desires. He knows your prayers. When you see what God does on the other side of this, you're probably going to say, wow, it was worth the wait. So be patient. Let Him transform your heart and mind as you work to renew your mind and transform your life. So that's it for today. If you haven't joined our free Facebook group, go ahead and request the Brain Rewiring for Health and Happiness Facebook group. Other than that, God bless and Godspeed.